Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Wake Up Mintzy, presented by Stella Blue and Dude Wipes. We're not live, as always, from the Chicago office. I'm in a good mood, though. Let's have a day, boys. A lot of good energy. Surviving Barstool finale tonight, the grand finale, the hottest show on the internet. Finally coming to an end, the 15th and final episode tonight. Make sure you check that out at 7 o'clock. A lot to be happy about today. And joined, as always, by Tyler Moody from Louisiana. We've got Chris Beard, Ole Miss head coach, at 9:30, coming off biggest road win in Ole Miss history, probably. First time they ever beat a top 5 team on the road, which is kind of a horrible stat. But, you know, records are meant to be broken. After Ole Miss beat Bama 74-64 to jump out to 4-0 in the SEC. Ole Miss tied with Auburn at the top of the best league in the country. So really pumped to get Coach Beard on, and thanks to Ole Miss for letting us have him today. A lot of stuff to get into. First of all, I want to remind everyone, Super Bowl week, going to be, or big game week, whatever you want to call it, down in New Orleans. The Dozen just announced their live show at the Fillmore. Get your tickets. We got 4 of our best teams playing the live Dozen events. If you've ever been to one, they're spectacular. I can't believe how much fun they are and the production value, and that's what Barstool does best. But tickets are on sale now for the Dozen event at the Fillmore, so check that out. Bunch of other stuff going on. Check out, tonight, go to Barstool River North, watching the surviving finale. I was in there last night. Had a good time. Always a good time over at that bar. Got some good food. Fun to see some stoolies, as always, to hang out with, and check it out for that surviving Barstool final. As always, Wake Up Mintzy brought to you by Dude Wipes. You can find them at Walmart, Target, all over the World Wide Web, Amazon, everywhere. One use of Dude Wipes will change your life. You'll never need dry, scratchy, crappy toilet paper again. And they're also really funny on social media. So check them out. A lot of stuff going on this weekend. You know, mainly, let's call it what it is. We're down to the nitty-gritty in football. We've also got some voicemails for you to play. But look at it. We're joined by Tyler Moody this morning from Louisiana, and then we got Coach Beard at 9:30. What's up, Mr. Moody? How are you?
What's up, babe? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Perfect. All right. We got a good voicemail this morning. I had a chance to listen to it. It's a pretty good one. I think it's a good one to get the day going. This is from somebody in New Orleans. I don't know if he left his name or not.
Okay.
Yeah, Mintz. Wake up, you motherfucker. I wanted to drop a voicemail about how fucking brain dead Mickey Loomis's bitch ass is. Our fucking general manager belongs in a fucking old folks home. This piece of shit, we've been in shambles for 6 fucking years, and this asshole's up on the fucking podium at the press conference smiling like he just got a fucking blowjob. He keeps telling us, look behind the results. Look behind the results. Well, maybe Gail Benson can take her fucking dildo out of your fucking ass, and we can look beyond you motherfucker. He said it was a 5-12 season, but he got a lot of positives. What positives? What fucking positives? Getting the fucking shit kicked out of every fucking Sunday? I mean, Jesus. What positives? Hep C? What fucking positives could you be looking at, you fucking brain-dead cocksucker? Then he tells us he's comfortable where we are. Where we are. Where the fuck are we? We're last in the league in the fucking top. Jesus, that's about as comfortable as getting a fucking crowbar shoved up your ass. Then he really almost gave me a fucking stroke. He said retirement is not on his mind. What is, Mickey? Dementia? Fuck Mickey Loomis.
Eloquently put. I'm pretty sure I know who that's from, too. That's who's a notorious caller on Hold the Mayo's show in New Orleans. That's Yamaha 504. He's got a recognizable voice. He's a really funny Twitter follow, too. I got to say, Moody, he sums up what a lot of Saints fans are thinking right now, though. I watched the Saints president, Mickey Loomis's press conference the other day, and he's like, you have to look beyond the results. Like Bill Parcells always said it best in the NFL. You are what your record says you are. The Saints are 5-12. Everybody in the roster is aging, getting old as hell. They're in salary cap hell. They don't have a coach. I don't see what there is to be positive about, and I don't know if I'd use the same language he said, but I feel a lot of the same emotions. And right now you got to figure out you don't have a coach, and now I don't know if you saw the news yesterday, Moody. Aaron Glenn's saying the word is that he wants the Jets job. That's the job that he wants first over the Saints, which is wild to me because I actually think the Jets have a worse job than the Saints. I think they're the two worst on the market right now. Glenn did used to play for the Jets too. He played for the Jets and Saints, but that's rough for the Saints because he's obviously their first choice. Former secondary coach for Sean Payton, 2016 to 2020, played for the Saints. He's coming off that Detroit staff, which has a lot of ties to Sean Payton and the Saints. And it seemed like he was the front runner. But, if he wants to go, I'm sure the Jets would take him too. I thought that was wild, though, because I figured he would want to come back to New Orleans. But even he's saying he wants to go to the Jets. And what the hell do the Jets have? You got to deal with the New York media market. Their quarterback situation's a mess too. Rodgers doesn't. I feel like he's going to play another year in the NFL. I don't think it's going to be for the Jets. I guess they have more young talent with like Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner and some of the guys on defense maybe than the Saints. But that's not exactly a very attractive job either. And nobody really – seems like there's been a lot of bad stuff said about their owner, Woody Johnson, too, recently with how he runs the organization. And so that was kind of surprising to me. But to react to the voicemail, I agree with everything that's being said. Look, Mickey Loomis has been there forever. He hired Sean Payton. He was there for the Breeze era. Been way more good than bad. But since Sean Payton's left, this damn thing in NOLA has been completely rudderless. And I don't see any solutions right now. You got Derek, you got three older players counting $113 million against the cap next year. Derek Carr and Taysom Hill being two of them. There's not much young talent on the roster. I think the only positive you have for the Saints job is that you're in the NFC South and it's a weaker division. That's really all I got at this point.
Do you think that Aaron Glenn was to return to New York, assuming that Aaron Rodgers returns as well?
I feel like the stuff I saw with Aaron Rodgers and the owner this year, I think the Rodgers thing, my prediction for Rodgers, he doesn't want to go out. I feel like he he could have easily retired after he tore his Achilles on that Monday night opener last year. He wanted to come back. Look, I know he struggled a ton early in the year, but I didn't think he played that bad late in the year. Granted, they were playing for nothing, but he was slinging it. I think Rodgers, what you're going to see out of him is he's going to try to sign a one-year deal with a team that he thinks can compete in the playoffs and try to make one more run at it. And I actually am going to make a bold prediction. I think he's going to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. I think that situation, they can get out of a Russ contract. They're not locked into him. He likes Mike Tomlin. You look at the Pittsburgh situation right now, they don't know what they got at quarterback either. Justin Fields, I don't feel like they think he's the future either. And so I kind of feel like he sees their defense and their core values and the fact they make the playoffs every year. I could see Rodgers in Pittsburgh next year, and I think that would be fascinating, to be honest.
Do you think it's worse having Jerry Jones as your owner or Mickey Loomis as your GM? What situation would you rather be in? They both suck.
See, I don't think they're as bad both as people think. I think they both get really bad. Well, the Loomis thing's real bad right now because he's got so much. They both have so much power in the organizations, and it seems like since Gail Benson inherited the team from her husband when he died, it seems like Mickey Loomis is like an owner. It's like crazy how much power he has for New Orleans, and I just wish he'd take some accountability. Lord knows I have screwed up many times, but at least I try to stand up every time I do it and say, hey, I got to do better. This is my fault. Loomis is up there after a 5-12 season saying, oh, look past the results. How could what was he watching? And I know you can easily blame the injuries thing. And, obviously you had Taysom Hill and Carr got hurt. Kamara got hurt. Olave and Shaheed got hurt. So, that's kind of an easy scapegoat. But, look beyond that. Where's the talent on the roster? The Saints were a replacement team down the stretch. I didn't even know half the guys who were out there. Poor Spencer Rattler, rookie quarterback, having to throw to guys just off the street. You can't even evaluate Rattler. So I don't know. I just feel like it's rudderless in New Orleans. And the thing with Jerry Jones, I know it's frustrating, but at least it's entertaining, And I don't think the Cowboys are. There's that fine line in the NFL, and this is an interesting thing because Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh took a ton of heat with the way their season finished, and they got blown out. Plus, look, you get in that mode where like the Cowboys are like this too, where they're like, they had 3 straight 12-5 seasons. They did bad in the playoffs, and then last year fell off. But they're not that bad. Like the Saints are 5-12. It's like an embarrassment. But the problem is when you're a fan in the NFL, like do you want to be in purgatory and like around 500, like fighting for a championship you don't think you can ever get, or would you rather just blow the whole thing up? And like I feel like fans look at that differently.
No, they haven't really had to blow it up at any point. And I'll actually give Jerry some credit. The Cowboys have done a good job of drafting, and I think the same thing could be said about the Saints. These are two organizations that have done a good job drafting. They've handed out some bad contracts that have put them in some weird cap spots, but I actually think that both teams have done a pretty good job drafting. So for that reason, you have a little bit more confidence than maybe we should.
Yeah, well, I don't know. The Dallas thing's fascinating. Jerry going to some of his old favorites, already contacted Jason Witten, contacting Dion. I mean, I want to see the Dion thing. I don't think it would necessarily work, but I just want to see it for the entertainment value. That would be crazy. Do you think that's realistic?
I hope not. Like I said, if Dion becomes the head coach and they draft Shador, I am officially no longer a Cowboys fan. I'm already teetering on the edge of not being a Cowboys fan anymore anyways. If they make Dion the head coach and should somehow make it – I see people float this Titans and Dak trade. I don't know if the Titans would make that trade. That's a lot of money. I don't know if the Cowboys would even make that deal. But if that were to come to fruition, you can count me out. I'll be looking for a new team.
Okay. Yeah, well, I don't know on the Shador thing either. I mean, I feel like he might need to sit a year too. Is there a world where maybe like they got Shador and just he sat behind Dak for 1 year to try to get ready?
No, I think it's definitely possible. I don't know. I'm hoping that this is all just some posturing from Jerry. It's always a good click whenever Deion Sanders is attached to it. Right now, Shador is a hot name. I'm hoping that's just, keeping the Cowboys relevant and all that nonsense, and they're actually going to go get a good coach. But, man, I don't know. It'd be concerning to me if Shador ends up being the guy. I don't really like any of these quarterbacks, and Shador is like number 4 on my list to begin with.
Okay. Well, did you like Dallas moving on from Mike McCarthy?
Not really. I feel like Mike deserved one more year. Dak got hurt. I would have liked to have seen Mike return for one more season. I really would have. I think, 12-5 the year before, like you mentioned, a playoff team. Obviously, they didn't get it done in the playoffs, but no coach for the Cowboys has gotten it done in the playoffs in the last 20 years. So I'm not really putting that on Mike McCarthy too much. I felt like the Cowboys played hard down the stretch for him still. I don't know that he had lost the locker room. Micah Parsons was losing his mind. But at least the Cowboys played hard. They won some games down the stretch, some games they probably shouldn't have won as far as draft picks are concerned. But I don't know. I thought he should have returned for one more season, run it back one more time. But ultimately, here we are.
Yeah, no, my thing with it is, like, if you're going to move on from him, you better have a coach you want. There's got to be some kind of a plan. Like, I get why. Like, I know the Patriots, like, went one and done on Mayo, but, like, they're getting Mike freaking Vrabel. Like, I totally understand that move. And now a lot of people up here in Chicago are linking McCarthy to the Bears job. They've already reached out and shown interest. I know that the Saints, I feel like other than Aaron Glenn, McCarthy's a Saints target because he's a former offensive coordinator there for Mickey Loomis because he's been there so long. He was the OC with Jim Haslett back in the day, actually, when the Saints won their playoff game with Aaron Brooks, like back in 2000. So he's got some ties there. But I don't think he'll be – I saw a thing on the internet that was interesting with McCarthy yesterday. It was comparing his resume to Mike Tomlin's and how similar they were. And I feel like when you think about reputations, Tomlin is so much more highly regarded. But McCarthy's 11-11 in the playoffs, won a Super Bowl. I don't know. I just feel like he gets a little bit of a bad rap. And I know that the Dallas thing, losing Dan Quinn, was a part of the fall-off this year. And I think a big part of it was Parsons just being out those 4 or 5 weeks because the defense couldn't stop anybody early. But once he came back, they're a hell of a lot better. So, I don't know. I just feel like McCarthy gets a bad rap. And, I've seen a lot of the Saints fans. There have been a lot of polls and stuff on Twitter, and like 70 to 80% don't want McCarthy. But I'm actually, like, kind of for the McCarthy move. I think that it could be a lot worse just getting a proven head coach in, especially when you've got maybe the least desirable job right now. Of the NFL jobs, would you say the Saints or the Jets is the least desirable right now, or any other open ones?
Which one's the worst job?
Yeah, we got right now open Raiders, Saints, Jets, Jags, Bears.
Normally, I think in this spot you would say the Raiders is the worst job, but because they're moving and there's going to be a lot of hype and they're definitely going to be spending money, I think there's a little bit of enthusiasm there. I would say, man, it feels like the Saints at the moment because you're in cap hell and you have to deal with Mickey Loomis, right? That's for me because there's not going to be a lot of flexibility over this next little bit. But also the roster could easily win the South because the South is not that good. So I don't think any job is like awful at the moment. I could actually make a case for a coach going to any of those teams. I'll tell you the one thing. I don't think the Bears will get it right, though, because that's an organization that cannot seem to get it right. They don't do anything correct. I mean, they're a dumpster fire of an organization. So I actually expect the Bears to make the wrong move for a head coach.
Okay, well, I don't think McCarthy would be a bad move for them at all, just for some stability, and I think he'd do a good job.
Be fine. I just don't think they'll actually bring him.
Yeah, I've been saying the whole time that the Cliff Kingsbury Bears thing, and I know they reached out to him, but just the fact that he coached Caleb in college and did a good job with Jaden, he seems like an obvious candidate. But because he did bad as a head coach for the Cardinals and Texas Tech, I could see why. I know Big Cat doesn't want it. And a lot of people don't want it. One other interesting rumor, Ben Johnson Raiders stuff's kind of popped up. And, I know that Raiders job, maybe not. To me, that's the lead. The Vegas thing and Tom Brady is about to be more involved. I actually hear there's rumors. I wonder if Brady's even going to announce games next year. I think he's got with his ownership stake, I think he might be running the Raiders soon, which would make a lot of sense. But that Raiders job to me is actually maybe the least attractive. The Vegas thing's great, but man, you got Sean Payton, Jim Harbaugh, Andy Reid, Mahomes, Herbert, and Nix in that division. How the hell are you going to win in that division? It's the hardest division in the league.
No, I think that's a very fair point. I think as far as the roster is concerned right now, that's the least attractive job. I just think that moving to Vegas and Brady coming in will attract a coach. They're going to promise them bright lights in the future. Maybe things aren't great today, but the future could be really good here. So I think that will be attractive to a coach. I think for that reason, there is some optimism for the Raiders and their fan base. But I think as far as the roster is concerned, it's definitely the worst job. And I would put probably the Jets right behind them.
All right, I want to move on because we got our partners at DraftKings. They're going to be bringing back the King of the End Zone this weekend. $2 million they're giving away each day. Just all you do, opt in, place a $5 or more bet on who you're picking to score a touchdown, and if your person scores the longest touchdown, you get a share of $2 million. Last weekend, Ladd McConkey, Saturday, won $86 free bets for everyone. Curtis Samuel, the Sunday thing, man. If you're one of the 46 people that took Curtis Samuel Sunday, you better be enjoying life. $13,699 in free bet. Can you imagine winning that? That's just nuts. And then the Rams defense on Monday won it for $365.
Yeah, it looked like they handed out like 13 or 14 different $1,000 bonus bets. So, I mean, imagine you're putting down $1,000 on your next 13 or 14 bets. Man, that's a real sweat right there. A sweat that you didn't expect. And somebody out there might turn that into a lot of money because you with one or two of those, you have to take a shot at a good parlay. You know what I mean? You got to put a 40 or 50 to 1 parlay together with one of those and take a big shot. I think you would have to. At least
yeah. All right, well, I want to run through. We're looking at the lines on DraftKings. We're going to run through these divisional games, and we got Coach Beard joining us in 10 minutes. All right, let's run through these. Houston at KC. This is a Saturday early game. KC an 8.5-point favorite, 41.5. The closer and closer this game gets, the more I have an opinion. And that opinion, and I know all year there's never been a team that won more and covered less than Kansas City because they would do just enough to win. But this is freaking playoff time. And Patrick Mahomes, the divisional round, has never lost. He's made the AFC Championship game every single year he started. Going back to 2018, he's made the AFC Championship game, 6 years in a row. Started for 6 years, made the AFC Championship 6 years. Moody, they ain't losing this football game. What you laughing at?
No.
They ain't losing this game.
I was laughing. Austin said, imagine winning a $25,000 bonus bet.
I can't. I mean, couldn't be me. The The only thing that gave me solace on that, because I would have lost the bet. So that was the positive. That's the only positive I could come up with on that whole situation. Hey, we're leaving the past in the past, boys. It's a new day.
As far as Kansas City's concerned, I mean, I've been saying it all year. This is still the best team in the NFL. I just don't see. I could see them potentially losing to a Buffalo or Baltimore, but I don't think Houston is complete enough. The big concern for me in this game is that Houston's offensive line is not very good. They allow a lot of pressures on C.J. Stroud, and this Kansas City front is very good. I think they're going to disrupt the line of scrimmage and make it a long day for C.J. Stroud. Nico Collins, Duffy's probably going to be on him, and McDuffie's. So this is a spot where I think Nico, he better show up and ball out and win his ones, because if he doesn't, I just don't see the Houston offense having enough to keep up with Kansas City. And I think Kansas City kind of found themselves at the end of the year offensively. They're going to be a tough out. They're the reigning champs for a reason. I just bet on Kansas City here.
Yeah, and they just played in KC a couple weeks ago. KC went in 27-19, and that game was where Mahomes started throwing the ball better, because, all year Mahomes was putting up kind of weaker stats, but that was the game Hollywood Brown came back. And, Mahomes threw the ball great against Houston and Pittsburgh final 2 weeks, going over 300 yards. And I think KC comes out and just controls this game. I don't even think it's that good of a game. And, I love D'Amico Ryans. I think he's done an awesome job at Houston, second year in a row. He's been there, 2 years now. He's won the AFC South both the years, and had home playoff wins. But they got blown out at Baltimore in the second half last year, and I think that's about to be what happens here. So I actually like KC, and I know laying 8.5 always gives you pause with KC because of the way they haven't covered spreads, but I just think the offense is playing better, and I also don't trust Hughes. DJ Stroud, you look at his stats and his metrics, Moody, home versus road splits are crazy, man. He's so much better in that dome. It's going to be outdoors. It's going to be cold weather. So I'm on KC by 8.5. The playoff thing on the over-unders, it seems like playoff games go under a little more because it's harder to score. And you saw a lot of that last week. The game, I think 4 of the 5 games went under the total. Houston was the only one that went over, I believe, last week. But 41.5 is still pretty low. So I'm just leaning KC minus 8.5. And if you're on props, I think Isaiah Pacheco has got some value because I think they've been saving him off that injury for the playoffs. So I think he's going to, I know it's been a split with him and Kareem Hunt, but I look for him to do more. I like how the Chiefs have been using Worthy down the stretch. And then, look, last year everybody was saying how much Kelsey slowed down during the season. He went off in the playoffs. I kind of feel like Mahomes, I wouldn't be surprised if Kelsey is getting a lot of looks here in the playoffs. Next game, we got Saturday night. Man, this may be the most the Bills-Ravens is the best game, but this Commanders-Lions is maybe the most fun when you look at the matchup. With what Jaden Daniels has done, best rookie quarterback in the history of pro football, I believe. You got a 4-13 team last year. Now you're in the second round. You got the highest over. You got a 55.5 point over-under in a playoff game, which I think you got to be gun-shy taking the over after that Vikings-Lions game went so far under when it was 57 2 weeks ago and it was 31-9. But Detroit's 9.5, over-under 55.5 here. I don't ever want to count out Jaden Daniels because the way he's played. But, man, he's got to play out of his freaking mind here to keep up with Detroit. I would lean Detroit, but 9.5 is a ton.
I actually like the over here. I think Jaden Daniels is going to make this a competitive football game. He's going to have to ball out. He's going to have to play out of his mind. But he's done that for most of the season. This is a gamer. This is a guy that wants to win. He's somebody I have faith in here. I'm not saying Washington's going to win. I think they have a better chance that people are giving them credit for because Dan Quinn is a hell of a defensive mind. And if anybody can scheme up a game plan to potentially slow down Detroit, I do think it's Dan Quinn. It's going to be tough, though. Detroit is so complete offensively. They throw so much at you. I think it's a tough spot. But I actually like the over in this game. Vegas is trying to say, hey, this one could be a shootout. I like the over. I know it's 55.5, but I'm still going to be on it.
Props-wise in this one, Jaden Daniels, I like his rushing over. Again, I know last week he lost his rushing over and cost a bunch of people money when he kneeled it down at the end of the game. I don't know if you saw that. It cost Hank and Dave big bets because he lost yards on the kneel down that put him under 40. But when you looked at Washington's game plan last week, they were running him a lot. Tampa Bay did a good job containing him. He never busted one. This game being on turf, too, maybe more likely he could bust some runs because you're going to run him in the playoffs. On the Detroit side, David Montgomery is back. I'm curious to see how much, because Gibbs was just so much better. And I mean, I'm not like hating on Montgomery. I just think Gibbs is one of the elite talents in the NFL. So I'm curious. How that's gonna work, for sure. And I'm here, Moody. I'm texting you a link because the guy, the Ole Miss SID said.
Yeah, I got it. I got it to him. Real quick, I'm gonna get out of the way right here, but I do want to give.
No, don't get out of the way yet, because he's saying he's saying he doesn't have the.
Great.
He's saying he doesn't have the.
He should have it now. He should have it now. Real quick, I'm going to give this before I get out of the way. I got a parlay I'm putting together, 2-fight parlay. Umar Nurmagomedov, Islam Makhachev to win by decision, plus 350. Nurmagomedov, Makhachev by decision, plus 350. I love it this weekend. Also like a Kevin Holland KO. I'm going to get out of the way so we can get the one and only Chris Beard on here.
Yeah. Hang on a second. Make sure he's got this. Make sure he's got to get this the email, because they're saying that he's saying
he should. I mean, it's sent to
the SID just texted me. He doesn't have it. I just texted you the 2 emails.
He should.
So Moody gave out his UFC parlay. There it is. Moody loves the UFC, and check out Spinning Back Fist podcast. Does a great job with Robbie Fox and Jack Mack and Big Ev. They do an awesome job with the UFC stuff, and UFC's just blown up. Some other NFL stuff to go. I want to touch on too. Okay, he got it. Okay, he got the email. Good deal. All right, we're good. We're waiting on Coach Beard to come on. The other games I want to touch on: L.A. Rams plus 6 at Philly. This looks like it's going to be freezing cold and snowing. And I know the Rams have been so hot lately, and so a lot of people are on them after they blew out the Vikings. They finished the year 9-3, their final 12 games. I think this is a bad matchup for them. The Eagles smoked them on Sunday Night Football when Saquon Barkley ran for 250 yards. And this thing being snow for the LA team, they're on a short week off that Monday night game. I think this is a bad spot for the Rams, and I like Philly minus 6. You can really look back on the lines in the divisional playoffs. A lot of times the home teams off the bye, or the home teams kind of tend to blow people out this round. It's kind of been a thing. And then, but I do like Philly minus 6. I think I would lean under 43.5. I just think the Rams offense might struggle on the road here in the snow against that defense. And the Eagles in the snow are just going to pound Saquon Barkley after the how he had 250 yards. And Jalen Hurts didn't really look all that good throwing the ball last week. And then the game of the week, Baltimore by 1.5 at Buffalo. Wild that the Bills are home dog. My initial instincts like Baltimore, and they're plus 1.5, but I don't know. Buffalo hadn't been a home underdog in a playoff game since 1970. This also ought to be cold. High over under 51.5. I don't want to go against what I've been saying the whole last few weeks, that I thought Baltimore matched up well with them because Buffalo's run defense isn't that good. But having said all that, not sure I can lay the 1.5 on the road. But look out, Derrick Henry. We're going to go, okay, got Coach Beard ready. Moody, we're going to go to Coach Beard when you get a chance. We're going to flip over. We're going to get Chris Beard on here in just a second. But yeah, that Baltimore game, I mean, Derrick Henry's over-under is going to be very, very high after he ran for 150 last week. But they're going to just pound the ball for sure in that game. And I think, I don't know. I just don't know if Buffalo could stop it. But how do you go against Josh Allen at home in that environment? So it's going to be, that's the best game of the week. I can't wait to see that matchup. But 4 great playoff matchups this week. And then we've got the national championship on Monday night, Ohio State in Notre Dame, and can't wait to see that. Cannot wait. I'm giving Notre Dame a better chance in that game. I'm giving Notre Dame a better chance in that game than most. I really am. I think plus 8.5 is a lot. And I think plus 8.5 is a lot. So I don't really know what that means. I think Notre Dame is going to defensive fight, and they should be good to go in that game. So we'll see what happens in that matchup. All right. We're about to get Coach on here. We're getting him on here in a second. Hold on a second. Okay. All right, we got Coach now. Moody, let's go to Coach Beard. He's on here. What's up, Coach? How are you? Good morning. Thanks for coming on the show. Good times in Oxford, Mississippi. How we doing?
Mintzy, what T-shirt you got on today, man?
I got my Snoop Dogg Drop It Like It's Hot crawfish shirt on today. I'm rocking it, but I should have worn a bunch of Ole Miss gear because I got to tell you, Coach, first of all, thank you for giving us some time this morning. I know I was talking to the SID. I know quite a lot of media requests for you in the last couple of days, but I've been an Ole Miss basketball fan over 25 years, and the only win I can remember in that 25 years that got me more excited than the Ole Miss win at Alabama Tuesday night was when Ole Miss beat Florida in the 2013 SEC Tournament Championship game to make the tournament. That's the only one. First road win over a top 5 team in school history, which, what do they say? Records are meant to be broken. That's probably not the best stat, but y'all took care of it, and man, year 2, just done an awesome job with the roster construction. I know you work a lot with Walker Jones and the Grove Collective. It's just, I can't even tell you how excited people are. And I know when you came to Ole Miss, you saw a vision to get, the home crowds have been good. Fans are buying in. I mean, this has got to be a lot of fun for you, I would think.
Man, that was a long-ass question, Mintzy.
Yeah, that was just a long preamble.
I was trying to hang in there with you, man. I got a little, what's it called, ADD sometimes.
I got it too. Okay, well, I'll just keep them shorter and sweeter. How did this band?
Who was the best player on the Ole Miss team in that other game you were talking about?
That was they had Buckner and Holloway, the two good big guys, and I know Murphy Holloway still running around the program, and then Marshall Henderson was point guard, got hot bombing threes, but the big guys were real underrated. That was the thing, having Buckner and Holloway, and that's what I'm seeing out of y'all. Malik Dia came over from Belmont. How did you find and recruit him? Because 23 and 19, I haven't seen a big guy for Ole Miss like that in over a decade.
Yeah, for sure. Give Dia some props. We'll see if he can sustain it and find some consistency, but I'm confident he can. The great thing about him is he really works. And I know, like, when fans hear that or whatever, well, doesn't everybody work? I mean, he's got a real passion about his craft, Mintzy. He's normally the first guy in here in the mornings, last guy to leave at night. He really works at his craft. So it's been really good to see that. You always pull for guys that are working as hard as anybody in the country. It also came at a great time for us, right? Like, the one thing people aren't talking about, is we've basically got 4 SEC wins, without Mikel Brown. And Mikel's one of our best players. He's had some adversity with concussion. We hope to get him back soon. But for Dia to step up when we needed him most, it's been great to see.
You're known, going back to your whole career, Arkansas, Little Rock, Texas Tech, Texas, for the defensive culture. And Tuesday night, Bama averages 91 points a game. You held them to 64, forced 21 turnovers, Dia dominating the paint. How have you been able to institute that culture here? Because these guys are playing their asses off.
Yeah, I know a lot of times people associate some of our past success with our defense, and we take that as a compliment. But I would argue that anybody that's winning in college basketball has a defense. They come in different styles, different systems, different flavors, if you'd say. I'd argue, last couple of years, UConn's had the best defense in college basketball. Tennessee won our league last year, if I'm not mistaken. They had the best defense. Yeah, I mean, really, we're trying to win, and to me, you got to get some stops to win. I think the Alabama game, obviously tempo is important. That's not some kind of national secret. I think it's really difficult to play with Alabama if the game's going to be, 108 to 106. So I think our guys did a good job understanding, shot selection, pace of play. Now, we want to run too. It's kind of a sneaky stat about us. We've always been a good transition team. But I think we want to run when the opportunity's right. But, yeah, the Alabama game, the first thing before the ball ever tipped was I think our players understood the amount of possessions and the pace that the game needed to be played out for us to have a chance to be successful.
Well, 4-0 start the SEC. Only two losses non-conference by one to Purdue and then at Memphis. I mean, got to feel great about where this team is right now. But in the toughest league in America, it's crazy. What's it like being in the SEC now? I mean, I feel like what are there like 6 top 15 teams?
Yeah, I mean it's a gauntlet. It really is. All coaches kind of say that. Whatever league you're in, I promise you, is the toughest league in the country in your mind. But this year with the SEC, the non-conference spoke for itself. It was just night after night, watching how teams in the league were doing. And now early in the conference race, I think it's proven to be true too. There's not an easy out in this league, home or road. You got to be ready to play each night. I think what'll end up being a real factor, and whoever has a chance to win this league, in late February, will be who stays the course. Because I think you're going to get popped from time to time, and your ability to just keep getting better, have some short-term memory. Next game on the schedule is the biggest game, and I think our guys have shown that ability too. We've had some adversity this season, and but we are improving with each game. Although the scoreboard doesn't always show it, we feel internally that our team gets a little bit better each day, and that's probably the biggest positive around here right now.
Okay, so you brought a few guys back from last year, and Juju Murray and Brakefield and Matt Morrell. I feel like he's been on like my college schedule. He's played for Ole Miss so long, but when you got 3 guys that have experience back, and then you went out and really went hard in the transfer portal in this NIL world. How did you put together this roster? It seems like it's really come together.
Well, I think everybody would agree there's kind of 3 components. It's your returners. It's not necessarily getting the, best players back. It's about getting the guys that fit the bill in terms of your desire to improve the team to come back. Guys that can get better. And so I think with the 3 returners that played a lot of minutes for us last year, Juju, Matt, and Brake, the thing I've been most impressed with, and it's very difficult to do, is I think all 3 players are better players right now than they were a year ago. And that's hard to do when you're already established. I mean, all 3 guys were good players last year. So when most people think about improved players, you think about the guy that didn't play much, now all of a sudden he's playing, or the guy that was a good role player, now all of a sudden he's a all-SEC candidate. But with our 3 guys, their ability to come back when they're already established good players and improve has been big. Second category, is obviously the portal players, the ability to stay experienced, stay relative. The thing that we've been most pleased with our guys is I think they fit together. It's not just about going out and getting talented guys with stat lines that were on portal rankings and things like that. But I think, Dre and Sean and Dia, these guys, their ability to play together with McKell and Barnes, it's been good to see. And then thirdly, the freshmen, this is how you're building the program. And we don't talk enough about our freshmen, but there will be a day where everyone's talking about, Klafke and John Bull and Zach Day. We feel like we got the 3 young guys, too, that can help us this year, no doubt. But equally important, the future of the program's in good hands. If we can get those 3 guys to keep improving, and if those 3 guys come back to Ole Miss, then we'll be in a good spot next year as well.
I want to ask about your relationship with the Grove Collective and Walker Jones, because we're in such a new world now where the NIL, you're going and you're hitting the transfer portal. How has that benefited you?
It's been good. Walker and I had a relationship before. He was an executive high up with Under Armour when I was at Texas Tech. And so we had a relationship. We spent some time together each summer on the Under Armour coaches trips. Those are classic. I don't know if you have a Mintzy after-hours show where we can shift it to a little bit PG-13R. But there's some good stories back in the Under Armour Walker Jones days. I think, I was blessed to coach at some other really good programs with some really good people during this era of name, image, and likeness. And I said it before, when I got the job here, it's nothing that I can take credit for personally. The program was in good shape. I think some of the things that the Grove Collective did with Walker and his staff, they were doing before other people figured it out. I think the challenge now for the Grove is it's kind of like we got off to a good start in the race. And one of the best things about Walker is he's always talking about the next idea. Let's play offense, not defense. Let's be proactive. Let's not sit around and celebrate our past success. Let's keep moving the needle. The relationship with Walker, the administration with Keith Carter and Chancellor Boyce, and then the foundation with Denson and those guys, the three groups work together really well with one thing in mind, what's best for Ole Miss.
Yeah, and I want to mention Keith Carter because I'm at a point where I think he might be the best athletic director in the country. You obviously said y'all have a great relationship. I mean, he's an old Ole Miss basketball player, loves the program, and seems like he's been all in to get you, and it's been going well.
Yeah, Keith's big time. From my perspective, it's pretty cool working for an athletic director that played college basketball at the school we're at, Ole Miss. And not only did he play, he was a all-conference, all-American player that impacted winning. So it brings a new dynamic to the relationship. I've had some really good ADs in the past, period. But Keith is just different, and different in a good way. In the past, your team could mess up, maybe make a coaching mistake or a playing mistake late in the game. You're walking to the press conference with the AD, and you can just blame it on the refs or something because maybe that AD is not a basketball guy. But with Keith, he knows it. He sees it. And I've had some real basketball conversations with him in our year and a half together as well. But Keith is all Ole Miss. He bleeds the blue and red. He's a one-school guy, and it's just awesome working for somebody that has passion for the institution and the basketball program.
I'm curious, like mindset-wise as a coach, just a huge high after winning at Bama. Like I said, biggest win Ole Miss has had in forever. Turning around, going on the road to play arch rival Mississippi State, who's damn good. They're like top 15, top 20 on Saturday. How do you manage like the emotions of the players off a big win to avoid a letdown?
Yeah, we'll be fine internally on that. We're prepared for that. Our thing is the next game on the schedule is always the biggest game that we've ever coached or played in. There's no other way to feel about it as a competitor. Bill Russell said it best. Next game on the schedule is the biggest game. Might as well win it. We got a 12-hour rule around here. We stole that from Coach Saban and other football greats, the 24-hour rule in football. Basketball, we play twice a week in conference, so you cut it in half. I think the external factors, it's exciting for the fans and supporters when you do some things that have never been done before. But Mintzy, let's keep it real. I mean, we're going to have to do a lot of things here that have never been done before to build the program that we got to build. So I worry about a lot of things. Mississippi State's talent, their team, their home court advantage. But I don't really worry much about the letdown effect with us. We've got some veteran players. We understand that game's over. Next game on the schedule is the next and biggest opportunity.
How are you feeling? The pavilion's already kind of been rocking. I know you had like 9,400 fans at the LSU game when there was weather and the students were out. How are you feeling about that becoming a big-time home court advantage?
Yeah, I think overall I feel good. We're on track here. We've taken the step from year one to year two. A lot of work has gone into it. Our staff, our players, marketing, administration, even the mayor in town, the people that work for the city. There's a lot of things that go into this as we all strive to have a great home court advantage. Two things go into that. One is just pure attendance, filling every seat in the building. And then secondly, equally important, the environment in the building when everybody is in their seats. And so, Mintzy, I know you're an Ole Miss guy, and appreciate your outreach and the people that you can touch. And, I would say this with respect. This isn't a coach whining or anything. It's just me telling you the truth. One of the next steps for us is we have great season ticket holders, period. More than 50% of our building is sold out before each game starts because we have a large percentage of season ticket holders. The next step for us is to make sure that all those seats are filled every night. And so I know it's really hard to do. You got families, you got church, you've got responsibilities. A lot of our season ticket holders don't live in Memphis or don't live in Oxford. Many do live in Memphis, Nashville, Jackson, other cities surrounding. We just got to continue to get the word out that on the nights that those loyal season ticket holders can't come to the game, if they can just fill their seats, if they can take 5 or 10 minutes of effort, make a couple phone calls, and just make sure that someone sits in their seats. We don't have a problem here selling tickets. Most of our remaining games in the schedule are sold out on paper. We just got to make sure that the 50% of our building that is season ticket holder seats are filled each game. And I appreciate those season ticket holders, period. We're not griping. We're just simply telling the truth here. If we can get those seats filled each night with Ole Miss Rebels, then I think we have a chance to have one of the best home court atmospheres and attendance in all of college basketball.
I want to shout out Kenny Carson, big time Ole Miss fan on Twitter. He actually makes a point on there. If people aren't using their tickets, he connects people and gets people in the stands going, doing the Lord's work on that. So I love seeing fans go above and beyond. Your point is right, especially on the Tuesday and Wednesday games when people can't travel midweek. That actually is a real thing because Oxford is only 30,000 people. So listen to Coach.
Yeah, and I appreciate Kenny as well. That's actually made it to my desk. But yeah, we just need look, we got a lot of people that love the program, care about the program, spend their time and money, invest in it, sweat and bleed and live this with us. Again, just on those nights where you can't come to the game, which is understandable, just a little bit of effort, just make a couple calls. The school has a buyback program. The ticket office works their asses off to try to help. But the best way to do it is just that individual person taking the time and effort and put somebody in your seats. All the other programs are great, but they're hard to execute at 100% success rate. So I'm a season ticket holder. I live in Jackson. My kids got a game. I got to go to that game instead of Ole Miss. Cool, no problem. Just please put somebody in your seats. That's one of the biggest challenges and opportunities we have to improve right now.
I love that you're talking about it because it means so much. I can tell how much it means to you to have that elite home court advantage. How much do you and the players really feel that?
No doubt about it. I mean, look, find me a college basketball team that is consistently in the hunt for conference championships, and I promise you they have a home court advantage. In our league, you see it with what Coach Pearl's done at Auburn in recent history. In the Big 12, I studied the Kansas model for years. Look, if you sell out home games and you have a great home court advantage, it helps on game night. It helps in recruiting. It helps with everything. It's one of the most important things as you build a program. I know I witnessed it every Saturday here in Oxford with what Lane's doing with Ole Miss football. It's real. There's no better home court advantage in college football than the Grove in the stadium. It's real. We all see it. We're trying to build the same thing in basketball. This is year 2. We're going in the right direction. But I have such high expectations for our fan base because I know so many people care about Ole Miss basketball. It's time. It's right here in front of us. We're not just sitting around, telling people we got to get better. We're actually sitting here being very clear on what needs to be done. Students have got to keep coming. They've been great. We're working hard on it. We got a great student body. Season ticket holders have got to fill their seats. If we do that, I'm very optimistic that we can make the Pavilion just a cool place to come, a couple nights a week.
Yeah. On that note, too, why is winning on the road in conference and college basketball, it's even harder than football. And, I mean, it's crazy, how much you see people struggle on the road. And is that just the home court advantages or is it the traveling? Like, why is it so difficult for teams to win on the road in conference?
Yeah, there's no denying. I mean, you walk into an arena that's loud and it's got 100% capacity cheering for the other team. It's real. As a competitor and as a basketball guy, I've always tried to get our teams to understand that it's a 40-minute game, and the best team is going to win that night. So we've never been a team that talks about winning at home, splitting on the road. I've never understood that. It's the next game on the schedule. There's a way to win it, but obviously the way to win it on the road is a little more challenging. Your margin for error is much, much lower. And so, the relationship between home and road in college basketball is real. But I think the championship contenders, they get past that, and they try to find a way to win on the road as well.
How much, you mentioned how much experience, like a lot of the transfer guys have and the guys that have been around, how much has it helped to kind of have an older team this year?
I think there's a relationship in winning in college basketball between experience and winning, no doubt about it. A common phrase you hear, get old, stay old. I don't like the word old, but I do like the word experienced. And
Okay.
so
Fair.
for us this year to have, I mean, if I like the word old, we'd just be, hanging out at the military bases, getting a bunch of 29-year-olds that still have eligibility. Which, by the way, we've executed that before. We've had a couple of great former military guys play college basketball for us. So, but no, I mean, I think experience, talent, discipline, playing together. These are all things that I think every coach has on their wish list.
Well, you're a super intense guy, but in a good way. And it seems like you have to strike a balance of being intense, but the players are all bought in. Like, how do players play so hard for you, but you also coach them, really strong. Like, how do you balance that to like the balancing act of like loving your players, but then coaching the crap out of them?
Yeah, I think the first thing I try to do each season is figure out the best way to coach this year's team. We've had some teams before where we try to literally coach every possession, keep guys out of their comfort zone, call it coaching hard, whatever you want to call it. We've had some other teams that have experienced players that probably, are best with a poised, more composed situation. So I think more important than my style or our style would be what does this year's team need tonight to have the best chance to be successful. So we got a veteran team. Certainly, there's going to be some times where guys need to be reminded in a blunt way, some hard conversations. But I think more than that, this year's team, it's about poise and composure. It's about getting a game plan, believing in the game plan, and executing the game plan. But I would say that, coaches that know what they're doing, the best style is what does your team need tonight to have the best chance to be successful.
All right, last question I got for you because I know you got practice and got to go. How much did Coach? Yeah, you were an assistant for Bobby Knight back in the day at Texas Tech when you're starting out. How much did learning from Coach Knight influence you?
I mean, obviously, in a big way. It was like getting a PhD in coaching every day, not only in the practice court or the film room, but just all the time that we got to spend with Coach and Pat. The road trips, the recruiting trips, the meals, the lunches. I'm not the smartest guy in the room, but I'm smart enough just to understand, pay attention, take notes. You're getting a PhD in coaching every day. So obviously the X's and O's in the game of basketball, but equally important, the idea of preparation, the idea of consistency, the idea of non-negotiables, and here's our standard, the ability to relate to each player in a different way. No, I'm very proud to be associated with Coach and Pat. Always will be. I hope in some small way, the way we play the game and the way we treat our players and the way we graduate our players and the way we embrace our community and our school, I hope that Coach and Pat are proud of that in some small way. Mintzy, what's your favorite restaurant in Oxford?
Oh, man, I got a bunch of them. I love City Grocery. I go sit up at that City Grocery bar a lot. A lot of my friends run it. So I kind of hang out there. I used to work at Proud Larry's. I made salads and pizza when I was back in college. That was something. But I go to grocery, sit up there, go see live music at Proud Larry's is kind of my combo.
Yeah, besides the food scene, what's your favorite thing about Oxford?
Man, the people, the community. Yep. I feel like Oxford is so unique because it's small, so everyone knows everyone. You mentioned the mayor, Robin Tannehill, the buy-in. I feel like one of the things that's been so successful with Ole Miss is the athletic department, the town, the Grove Collective. Everybody's like bought in together because even though it's a public school, it's pretty small. I mean, it's getting bigger, but it's not, like Bama or LSU. And I think the community and just the Oxford culture too. I mean, you got great live music, great food, beautiful women. I mean, what's not to love? And, and I freaking love Keith Carter because just seeing what Lane and you have done and Coach Bianco, I mean, the Ole Miss athletic program's never been better, and it's just so fun to watch.
Do you have any outstanding parking tickets here in Oxford?
I got a boot back in the day. I remember when I was there, but I usually try to stay kind of near the square and just walk to campus. That's one of my other favorite things about Oxford is how you can just walk everywhere. Everything's 10 minutes away. It's not spread out. So yeah, I try to get my fat ass moving when I'm around there. Get out and enjoy it.
Hey, Mintzy, if you buy something at a store and then you get some change in your pocket, like maybe a quarter, a couple dimes, and a nickel, what do you do with that change? Does it stay in your pocket? Is it bedside
No, I just
table?
give it
What do
to.
you
I
do?
just give it as a tip. Usually, I try to be a decent person and just pay it forward where I can. You know, I mean that's not saying I'm always successful.
I normally tip in dollar bills or 5s or 10s or 20s, not change. But I mean, are you still tipping the 20% that the Oxford people deserve?
Yeah, always do that. But I feel like you probably have a little different bank account than I do. And you're a big country music fan, right? Who's like a couple of your favorites?
Yeah, hey, real quick, here's the Oxford advice of the week. I figured this out. So whenever I get loose change, I just put it in the console of my car, and then it kind of mounts up a little bit, you know? And then when you park in Oxford, you have the change necessary to put in the meters. Somebody gave me that Oxford advice. It served me well. Makes sense?
Yeah, well, I used to always save my change when I was a broke college kid and then just go eat at Handy Andy because it's like 10 or 12 bucks for a burger, fries, and a drink. And so that was always – I remember I would be broke diving through couches trying to find change to go to Handy Andy. So I feel you. Well, Coach, thank you so much for your time this morning. I know y'all got practice. Can't wait to see the game Saturday in Starkville. Just love what you're doing with the program and can't wait to see where the season goes.
Mintzy, appreciate everything you do for Ole Miss, man. I know you love this place as much as anyone, so thank you.
Oh, yes, sir. Hotty toddy. Thanks for Coach Chris Beard for joining us this morning. Join the Ole Miss fans. Join the Grove Collective. If you hadn't, you can join it for as low as $21 a month. It makes a huge difference. We're going to get out of here. Thanks to Coach Beard. Thanks to Tyler Moody. Thanks to Stella Blue and Dude Wipes. Let's have a day, boys.